Yo, all Lizlodude back with just a little run through of how my backup system works. I kinda did this like twice, but I thought I might as well make one that's actually dedicated to it because, well, frankly, I felt like it. So, there you go. So, first off, it runs every week, so it usually just runs while I'm at church, which is great and all. That way I don't have to worry about being here, having it run slowly or anything. So, first off, McAfee, I just run McAfee and AVG for virus scans because I can. Why not? McAfee doesn't seem to understand that if I tell it to start at 9, it should start at 9 rather than 9:20. So I just start that manually. But those run if I want them to, and then afterwards I use EaseUS To-Do Backup Workstation for my backup system. And it works pretty well. I haven't really had any problems with it so far. Thing to note, if you're restoring something, the system transfer option, as far as I can tell, tries to mimic all of the settings and configurations of your current system. So like if you were just switching from a hard drive to an SSD or something like that, which is really nice and is one of the only major differences I could find between the home and workstation. But I got a really nice deal on the workstation suite, so I just got that. Why not? But system transfer will actually convert between MBR and GPT and some other stuff. So if you don't know what that means, probably doesn't matter. But if you do, that means that it can kind of cause some problems if the machine you're making the backup on and the machine that you're restoring the backup to the disk with don't both run the same thing. But yeah, it's a little bit weird. But so far I haven't had any issues with it. It works very well. I like it. It's just set up to run at the correct time to give the scan enough time to finish. And that takes about 30 minutes or so, not very long. Both machines, the setup is almost the same on the gaming computer. I just don't feel like recording two. So both machines are running on 60 to 70 gigabytes of actual files on an SSD, so they don't take very long to back up. So that's what I use for backup. It works quite well. Home would probably be perfectly fine. And then for the backup server itself, as I've showed a little bit before, I use VNC to connect into a custom machine that I built out of just some different parts that I was given over the years. I have absolutely no idea why the edges of this and the mouse are just completely freaking out. Just ignore that. It looks perfectly normal except with the black mouse. So I don't know why it's so big. That's weird. But this is the backup server. So this is VNC. This is the free version of VNC. So it's not encrypted. So if you're doing this on not your private network, or if you just like having encryption, probably go with the paid version. I'm also pretty darn sure that there's a bandwidth cap on the free version, because this is the server and my client machine here are connected via a gigabit link just directly, so there should not be any bandwidth issues, and there are. So yeah, I'm guessing it has a bandwidth cap, but I don't really need it enough to pay for it. But if you're using this just to use a computer rather than just something you have to access occasionally, it's probably worth it. It works quite well. So this is basically just a local remote access software, sort of like Show My PC or Google's remote access, whatever it is. It just allows you to do it locally, so you don't have to use the internet, which is nice. So this is just the little script that I wrote to basically go and check, is it Sunday? Is it the right time for it to run, which is, in this case, just at 11. So that way, if I boot it up any time other than when it should have booted up, it doesn't run. So you can see auto backup aborted because it's not Sunday and it's not 11. So you can just close that. This is basically just me being a little bit paranoid about not being that great at making stable systems. So this is basically just writing the current time to a file on my NAS, which I can access from my phone or any other machine. every 30 seconds or so. That way I can tell, hey, the machine's still running, it didn't catch on fire. Awesome. So that's just doing its thing, so I can close that. These are just all of the different files. I can, where is it? Config, startup. So this is the main file. So if you want to try and figure out what all that does, you can. I'm quite proud of that. And if anyone's interested in the actual code for this, I'm not going to go through it here because it's really complicated. If you want to try and figure out what all it does, there you go. Basically, just like I said, checks the time, date, etc., and then starts everything it should based on that. And then that's just the blue window that was open there, constantly pinging the thing. So I'm using free file sync for actually backing up the NAS. Not right now. Get out of the way. So again, with the bandwidth limitation, I was originally using, what was it? Basically EaseUS's, I have no clue how to pronounce it. The same company that makes the backup software that I'm using on the main machines. They had a sync software, but it would work perfectly fine for syncing things like it's intended for. It's not necessarily meant to sync. How much do I have right now? About 700 gigs of data. So that basically just froze up and died immediately. So I gave up on that. So this works quite well. I can tell it. I can tell it where to start, where to put it, and it'll compare everything and then only move the things that it actually needs to move. So, of course, indexing almost 700 gigs of files still takes a while, but it does a pretty good job, and it'll finish in usually under an hour. The main one takes about 45 minutes, and the ISO, which is the files that the backup software creates, take about 30 minutes, so that works quite well. And things are spazzing out. Stop. So that's pretty much where that ends. And then you've seen the backup server. If you haven't, go and go watch the video there. Or you could watch the other video. It's been through a couple iterations. But that's copying it onto my backup drive, which has all my files. And then every month, it also clones that drive over to an off-site backup, so if anything horrible happens, I have that. So that's really about it. It's definitely not the best that it could be, considering what it's all built out of, but there's 2 machines, both running SSDs, that back up weekly to a NAS, the entire NAS, including said backups, back up to an external drive every week as well, and then that drive is backed up every month to another drive. So in the event of something failing, pretty much anywhere along the line, I should only lose a week to a maximum of a month of data, which wouldn't be great, but also it's better than nothing. And if you followed me on Twitter, then you probably saw that Windows Update decided to just burn my laptop, so luckily this came in handy, and obviously it works fine now. So, yep, that's about it. And I broke it. Goodbye. So yeah, that's about it. Leave a comment if you had a comment, if you have any suggestions, leave a like if you liked the video, and subscribe if you like what I do. I don't have an outro, and I'm not going to put one on. So, thanks for watching. Bye.